And of course, a classic thing that you hear from people as they get older is they feel they have less energy. Well, the answer to having more energy is not just drinking more coffee, because you've always got a payback with coffee. The answer to getting more energy is that you have...
How you doing, people? Hope you're well. Okay, burpee heavy session today, or at least for me it is. Gonna do 20 minutes Navy SEALs, 5 minutes rest, another race pace Navy SEALs for 5 minutes, 5 minutes rest, and then 106 counts or 1 pumps. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so while I just jiggle around doing these burpees, I did want to just have a quick chat about how much difference 28 days can make to your health, fitness and strength. Now, a lot of people may say, okay, you can't really make that much difference in 28 days. Well, I'm here to tell you, absolutely you can. And of course, it's not just about the physical, although there will be physical changes as well, absolutely. But there's a psychological change as well. It also depends what sort of age you are and how hard you go, whether you are already at an intermediate to advanced level or just an intermediate level, or whether you're a beginner or a complete beginner. But if you have the right exercises, it doesn't really matter, because a complete beginner can do a particular exercise just taking their time with it and getting familiar with the form, or someone at an intermediate level can go harder at it, and someone more advanced can go even harder or do a harder version of the same exercise. So if we take beginner standard first of all, yep, you can absolutely make noticeable improvements in functional strength, metabolic rate and energy levels in 28 days without a doubt. One of the interesting first adaptations that will happen in the first 4 weeks comes from neural adaptations actually. Your brain becomes more efficient at recruiting muscle fibers, and that will make movements that once felt difficult a lot easier and more coordinated. By the end of 28 days, your metabolic rate or your resting metabolic rate can be up to 7%, and depending on the extent to which you diet alongside it as well, or basically get rid of the garbage that you may have been eating before, you'll see improved muscle tone and a reduction in body fat. That's often noticed as clothes start to fit better or differently. And with my own programs, timeline 1, timeline 2, timeline 3, timeline 1, you may realistically gain 1 to 2 pounds of muscle to start with, depending, like I say, how hard you go on the program. Timeline 3, which also involves muscles and dips, even if you are a beginner, there are certain ways to introduce yourselves to those exercises, and the amount of muscle that you can put on is significantly more than that with timeline 3, even in the 28-day period. And I know that because I did this program and I noticed a difference just after 4 weeks. Another important difference is functional strength, and again it depends if you've got the right exercises, but if you're in the right sort of program, functional strength enables everyday tasks like lifting groceries or just getting in and out of the car, everyday life really, become noticeably easier. I've had that feedback from many of the people that have undergone these programs, and I'm communicating with these people all the time because there's email communication, and that's a common bit of feedback that I get. The other common bit of feedback I get is that clothes either feel looser or fit differently. And this is often part of the transformation from what people call the dad bod to the fit bod, which is usually the dad bod usually has narrower shoulders and maybe a bigger stomach area, whereas the fit bod usually has broader shoulders and then a smaller, narrower waist. But of course, these are all the physical benefits of starting a program and what you can gain in just 28 days. There are, of course, substantial psychological benefits, energy, and people talk about mental health, but exercise is often prescribed as a huge help to combat mental health. But if that's not an issue, we all know that exercise can make you feel better. And I think there's the feeling that if you're doing a program for something like this, that you're doing something good for yourself. People generally feel better about themselves when they're doing something positive in this way. But yeah, even in 28 days, you can expect significantly higher energy levels, better sleep quality and improved mood. That can happen just within 1 week. And of course, a classic thing that you hear from people as they get older is they feel they have less energy. Well, the answer to having more energy is not just drinking more coffee, because you've always got a payback with coffee. The answer to getting more energy is that you have to be able to expend more energy. At some stage, you have to sort of almost force yourself to expend more energy. Then your body gets used to producing more energy. And over time, you will just feel less fatigued and just like you've got more energy. There is, of course, that initial boost that's required to start expending more energy. But of course, that's where, help from a coach and motivation and discipline can all help. It does also help if your programs don't really require any equipment. I think it was probably during COVID really when people started to discover that there was a heck of a lot that they could do without the need for a gym. Gyms, of course, have their place. Sometimes people want to get out of the house to go to a different place to exercise. There's obviously access to different machines and different weights, heavier weights, but you can do a heck of a lot without any equipment. And the key thing is, it is always handy to have workouts like that in your back pocket, a good variety of no equipment required workouts, because then you can do it on holiday, you can do it if you can't actually leave the house, if something happens and you haven't got the time, you can quickly just go in another room and do a workout. It does of course mean that you've got fewer excuses not to do the workout, but of course you've just got to think you are doing something which you will directly benefit from 100% yourself. And think of it as an investment in yourself. So yeah, 28 days makes a huge difference. I know it does. I've trained loads of people and seen them change in 28 days. Of course, it doesn't have to stop there. There's other programs you can go on to as well. But that first 28 days is a crucial kickstart. It gets you in the discipline, it gets you in a routine, and it provides a variety of workouts for you to have at your disposal. There's a link in the description to my own 28-day no equipment workout plans, timeline 1, timeline 2, but timeline 3 does require pull-ups and dips bars. All of them are cardio and strength combined, so very time efficient. And of course, all of them have email communication with myself for accountability, for advice on anything, if any of the exercises needed customizing, if your schedule changes in any way, just basically someone else to have in your corner as you're going through the program. Okay, so this workout was a little bit of a fatigued workout, not exactly fresh for it, but it was okay. I think I did about 135 seals today, which is for me about below average. Then I did another 5 minutes to overload and then the 100 one pumps as well. It was still a 9 out of 10 effort. It was about as good as I could do on the day, but hopefully there'll be another day where I can improve on that. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.